Okay. So.
I recognize that Zane is present, I am present, Kunal is present, Scott is present, Jessica is present, Carly is present, Tanya is present, and Raven is present. Call this meeting to order. First of all, it's approval of the agenda. That's what it looks like right now. Any questions, concerns? Do we need anything else?
No, pretty good.
Okay, fantastic. All right, approval of the February 26th minutes. Are we okay?
I would like to scroll through them real quick.
Did you make any changes to that?
We can
I know that
the rules again. If you don't go
there is one thing towards the bottom where it says MOU. It does not say MOU. No.
Okay.
I'm not hopeful.
Fantastic.
You just search MOU.
Control F. MOU.
It does not say MOU. It needs to be changed.
All right, Scott.
Is it about the retriever? So retriever. TRW, TR.
Is it in this one, Scott, or is it in the other one?
It is in the March 5th. Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, first order, 26. Are we okay with 26?
Oh, beautiful.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All those who are approving the February 26th minutes, please raise your hands now. 6-4-0 against. Now to the next one, Scott.
I forgot one.
On to the 5th. And now we're looking for the retriever. What was the big issue with that?
I just didn't say MOU.
What did it say instead?
Like IMO.
IMO? Okay.
Or something along the lines. IMO.
Yeah. MOU. IMO. Very well.
I'd like to amend the minutes.
Second.
All right. Can you make that edit for us? MOU. Fantastic. Scott, anything else?
I think there's also a line of my name in there that's just changed. So if we could remove that as well.
All right. Where is it approximately located?
Above that.
Next time, please make comments.
I shall.
This is a less tedious operation.
I shall put comments next time.
Okay. I don't think it was too big of an issue, to be honest, Scott.
Okay.
You took a moment of silence. All right. Are we okay with this then?
Oh, there it is.
There we go. Get rid of that. Yeah, fantastic.
My silence is not neat.
Is there a motion on the floor? Is there a second?
Second.
All those for approving the minutes for March 5th, 2019, please raise your hands now. 6-4, 0 against, 0 abstaining. Fantastic. On to the next item. What is the next item? Meeting preparation. There is none. Fantastic. On to the next item. Finance Board reforms. Has everyone had a chance to look through this first? Well, this copy of it, functionally.
What was the last update?
Last update, yeah, I mean, literally probably today. Yeah. I mean, the big changes that got implemented is we finalized what the reallocation process would look like. We added in some language about for off-campus opportunities, the amount of money allocated is per head. Organizations cannot shift per head into a single person instead. So, for example, you say 5 people are going, and then only 3 people go, you can't reverse the money from the 5 people into the 3 people because the money is allocated for 5 students to attend.
Is this just what this does? Right
Not that.
Oh. Where does it say that?
And it says it in the off-campus opportunities line. Somewhere down there. It's like 7 something. Yeah. I can go down. Off-campus opportunities, wherever that is.
Just go up that.
There you go. No, not yet.
Python.
All Python. There go.
It's 13.
It's 13.
Yeah.
13 off.
Part 13 instead of part.
Sit off.
Keep going.
Sit off 13.
Yeah.
Right there.
There you go. Scroll down a little bit. There you go. Off campus. Keep going. Keep going. Where is it? If the number of attendees decreases, fund allocated for them cannot be shifted to another participant. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Scott. Other things. This one actually does need to be discussed. Is that what's it called? Chris Kasich advised that we hammer down the exact numbers of how the money should be split for off-campus and on-campus opportunities. So I just simply deleted the extra language, but we do need to come up with some exact numbers in accordance to what legal counsel wants. Tanya.
So that opposed, or I suppose the percentages that we picked?
No, in the past it was like up to. Like it gives every single board some variability in how they'd like to do it. The actual way the board would theoretically move to shift these types of things instead would be to amend the document again every single time they want to change the percentage.
This would be a pretty fundamental change, but after talking to student organizations and in accordance with the finance board first come, first serve policy, I think that we should not make budgets mandatory and make it optional. Those would be seen first, and then the leftover money would be in the ad hoc account. And people would be able to come normally with the understanding that they would have less of a chance to receive funds due to the limited funds.
Okay.
So just to clarify, you're saying that not every student organization would have to submit a budget for each semester, and then those budgets, the order in which they're submitted, would count on a first come first served basis of evaluating them?
Yeah, so budgets would be seen first, money would be taken out of the fall account to pay for the budgets, and then the leftover money, we would see them like we have been.
Oh, okay.
And that would allow clubs some flexibility in how they want to do funding for different events, and while still allowing people to plan in advance for big events.
Okay. So you're not saying okay, because when you originally said it, I interpreted it to mean like we'll still evaluate the budgets on a first come first served basis, similar to how we do it now. And I was like, isn't that the point of changing the system? Okay, so that makes more sense. Yes, obviously the budgets would be addressed first, and then whatever money's left over. Okay.
So not making the ad hoc exclusive to emergency situations and allowing smaller events to be submitted as they come over the semester, basically.
Yes.
So I guess my question is around like, how do you incentivize student orgs to submit budgets through the budgetary process versus the ad hoc process? What is the incentive?
They would be seen first and funded accordingly and be able to plan in advance.
Second question. How do you, so this is specifically for spring. So, for fall, I guess for both. Like, so, I mean, the way that the cycle would work is that in the fall, you would receive budget according to for the spring events, right, which is the current fiscal year. And then you would hear requests for the current fiscal year in the fall for events happen. Right, where you hear in the spring. I guess, so hold on. I know you don't have any more space. I guess what would stop the finance board from over allocating in the fall during the ad hoc process and then not have any money left for the ad hoc process in the spring?
There are other stipulations in the current proposed statutes right now that would set a limit to how much of the pot you can spend per semester. And I would like to keep this in place.
Okay, so I think I understand what you're saying. So, I mean, maybe I don't understand. But that feels like a very fundamental change to this.
Discussion points, anyone?
About the specific point that you brought up?
No.
I don't know.
That's
Scott's point. We'll make it as solicitor change make budget non-mandatory, and they would simply, if they'd like to, continue through the standard process.
From talking to some student organizations, the current system works better, and for other student organizations, the budgetary system works better. This would be a hybrid system and allow student organizations to do what works best for them.
My only concern with that, or maybe not only, but my primary concern would be for those who do work better with the planning ahead system, that they would utilize a monopoly of like that money available, and then there wouldn't be as much funding available for those who wanted to use the regular system.
That's what incentivizes the budgetary system.
It does, but if it doesn't work for that organization, then regardless it wouldn't work, right? So like if you're saying that these organizations function better with the current process for whatever reason, if that other system isn't going to work with them, it's still not going to matter whether it incentivizes them to submit it early.
It's all about fair opportunity in the situation. I see where you're coming from when it comes to making this optional, but we need to make it fair for everybody, for every organization. So I'm kind of in favor of a mandatory process, just so everybody has a chance.
I see the unfairness though in those who cannot plan their events ahead, and as the ad hoc is only allowed for emergencies and not for planning.
Is that the language?
Ad hoc is only for emergencies, situations that you cannot have foreseen, like events that you cannot have foreseen occurring. You might say theoretical qualifications for national tournaments or something like that. You cannot have done unless you're going to qualify for that. The organizations as well would have access to the ad hoc system.
So, I can't foresee why why planning ahead for an event would be not beneficial for a student organization. Like if it's an event, even if it's a smaller club or like Anime Society always doing their 24 hours of anime or something like that. Like I can't foresee why it's an issue to plan so far ahead. Like I can understand like maybe prices will change or like how much will that be visual for the costume. Like that's a whole thing with Brit and PCS, but like I still would like to make it mandatory so that like Kunal said, everyone still has a fair chance and it's required for everyone to give their input or at least let us know what they would be wanting from us. So that we can actually spend the budget fairly across all of the budgets that we have from every organization that we have at the time, and then leave for whatever's left in the ad hoc process. But I think trying to get away from the ad hoc process will be more beneficial to more student groups.
So, Brittany, you had something?
Yeah, so I have two things kind of. The first thing is kind of going with the fairness thing. I think if you have orgs that would benefit from, if we're assuming that orgs would benefit from one system over the other, and you're placing them in two categories, but you're incentivizing one of them. So I think that's problematic. My second thing is, I'm kind of confused just logistically, because if you had an org that was like, it had a certain administration or exec board, and they were like, okay, we want to use the budgetary system. And then the next year's board decided, just kidding, we don't want to use that, we want to use the event by event system. They've already been allocated money. So it's like, how would that transition even happen? Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess to that point, like, yeah, you would already have money allocated for an event, and then be like, oh, don't.
You don't really want it? Like,
Yeah, so I guess my other question on the system would be like, in what type of events, like, can you not plan for? Because I know, like, on-campus events, obviously, like, booking, you can usually look onto an event, but like, what topic you want to do, like, what room you want to reserve, and like, what kind do you want to do, or are you like talking like conferences mainly, or like, I'm trying to think of what type of events like people would use the ad hoc, if it's just like, if they want to use it regularly instead of the budget.
So my current understanding is that the previous e-board does the budget for the fall, and if the new e-board wanted to do an event outside of what the previous e-board said, they would not be able to, the previous e-board obviously would have put that in the budget, and they would not have any way to fund that event.
Wouldn't that be seen as like unpredicted or like a new event that would be considered eligible for ad hoc?
Yep, I mean, this is like, we can make definitions for what an emergency situation is. If a previous e-board simply didn't do everything, we can consider that as a qualification of emergency, sure, but that shouldn't be occurring generally. We are trying to remember that organizations do have continuity. That could certainly be qualified as an emergency.
Okay. Does the leftover money from the, if there is any leftover money from the budgeting system process, go into the ad hoc?
It can either be put into ad hoc or it can be shifted to the next semester, depending on the board's choice. But generally, I would urge more for shifting into the next one, simply because remember, secondary ad hoc, it's not supposed to be primary. It's secondary to the game, you're not supposed to be relying on it. If there's really a need for it, it's there, but please don't rely on it. Candace?
Is there anything stopping the student org from submitting an ad hoc request? They could submit.
They can always submit, but it's simply whether you can put up for consideration.
Whether or not the finance board would consider.
Yeah.
And the second question is, and I can't remember, I think I asked you this, but I just want to make sure. Does it specifically say emergency?
Control F off, doesn't it? Emergency funding for student organizations, unforeseen expenses.
Yeah, there are really specific stipulations for that.
Circumstances in which an organization's condition will be considered includes one or more of the following. If the student organization is new and therefore did not submit a budget, if the student organization participated in the event is continued upon qualified the previous event, if the event is canceled, I think, yeah, we can probably put in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I want to make, I think to get to Scott's point, like, I think that sometimes there are things that present themselves as opportunities that an organization didn't know they would have the opportunity to do. I know that orgs get, and even in student activities, we get contacted by vendors all the time to be like, hey, we're coming to your area, and we'd love to do something with you and give you a lower price. Like, it wasn't something we planned on, but it's a great opportunity.
So one of the things for that one is simply just like, yeah, you'd be able to submit a reallocation request as well if you really wanted to shift the money into that.
But I thought that would fall under the pursuit opportunity, which was previously discussed as being eligible for ad hoc.
That as well.
But the language is not in here.
Which of the following is included?
Okay, we can put some language. Some language into there now. Of course, but like the thing is, we do need to narrow and tailor it. That's the thing.
Yeah, but I think that those are. I think that you can say.
734.
I think you need to give the finance board power to consider, and then decide whether or not they want to, like, to consider, right? So I do think that there's merit in this is my as your advisor. You don't have to listen to me. I do think that there's merit in leaving the door open for student orgs to be able to petition, and then allowing the finance board to say, do we want to consider this? Because there are things that come up all the time, or ideas that people have, or someone gets, or whatever. I don't think you should close the door. I don't think you should close the door all the way to student. I'm so sorry. In terms of like ideas for events, but so maybe putting into language about like you can consider it, but it doesn't just because you meet one of these things doesn't mean you fund it, right?
Yep. We will be, we need changes and maybe. Yeah, and then finally, any additional criteria that's fine with that. Something like that. That's fine. Let me.
That'll make you feel better.
Would that make you feel better? I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Right. Oh.
Would the petition also be something provided by administrative, like they have a template of a
It's the petition, yeah, we probably just do it. It's the standard packet, and then additionally on top of it, like, hey, this is why we need it. Yeah. I can't go pretty good yet. I don't know.
That's fine.
Or maybe that. I don't know. There we go. That's weird. All right. Good enough, everyone?
Back to the funding amounts.
Yeah, so we do need to go back to that. Could you go down to the funding, go up to, up to the funding amount, there it is. Yep, there it is. 25, 60, up more. Yeah. No, actually, sorry, my bad. Down a little bit. There it is. So currently it's set at 25, 10, 65. Does that equal 100? I can't do that. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Which is those just the 1% for on-campus opportunities.
1% of the off-campus opportunities must be allocated at the source.
Yeah, okay.
So for next year, $3,113 or $1,000, whatever that is.
Is that still gonna be a big number? Brenda? That's what
I don't know.
Well, worst comes to worst, if it's not a thing about a time, by May 15th, when we're about to step out, we just amend it again and we get rid of it.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. There we go. The amounts, though, these were just random amounts I threw in because I deleted the language. It used to say minimum 65%, and then up to 10%, and then up to 25%. What shall we change? Are we okay with this number, or do we want to shift it more? The way that I had initially written those numbers were as maximums, as it's like at max, you can allocate that much.
I like how it says like 25% A user, 10% A reserve, and then 65% must be reserved. I think like that language enough basically says the same thing about like at least or up to.
Yeah.
Like,
Is that the language that legal said was okay, or are they saying you have?
No, they needed some exact numbers. We need to change the language again. At least that's from what the interpretation we got out of it, is that they want exact numbers.
So instead of may.
Yeah, it must, or will. Yeah,
Can you say like
the will.
must not exceed?
That still fits that out. It's variable at that rate, and they wanted an exact number.
So the problem was that, like, the way it was written before, you could technically allocate 100% to source, and it would be within those guidelines. So.
Yeah, I furthermore, it's not too much of an issue.
I mean, even if now, well,
Or we need to change
even
the
now it
language.
should be 100% source. Yeah, well, yes, say the same thing, say you're saying.
Not anymore, because this is the 1% must be.
Right now it says like.
Yeah, it doesn't say 100%, it doesn't say it can't be 100%, it says it has to be at least 1%. So, because the
You
other.
change it to shall be allocated.
Because the other ones say may.
Yeah.
And so you could take that
You
into
could
the
zero
on-campus.
those out,
We need to change out the may words.
they have to be must.
Say must or will.
Will, I think, yes.
Yeah, will is the better one. So yeah, we'll work together. Collaborative effort, everyone. What do we want to give for on-campus stuff? I've been looking at 70. 70% will be allocated to on-campus opportunities.
So what's wrong with the current numbers?
Those that, when I did that, was just like, okay, if finance board really wants to put that much money off campus, go ahead. But
70-20 was your thinking?
25% of the next year's allocation is, 60,
it's like 70 something, isn't it?
like 75.
Yeah.
$75,000. And how much is the this year?
How about you?
I mean, you over allocated off campus.
This is true.
But also with this form, like off campus will include things like lunch and other organizations that are not targeted to the UABC audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said before, what was it?
I'm wondering if we only really reduce the language about like at least or 70% will be reserved for
That's what I was
indoors.
thinking.
That's it. And we
Student
don't-
orgs.
For on-campus.
Sorry, for on
I'm like, what are we doing? 30%.
For
I'll
on-campus.
pushes
And
for
then-
everyone.
And then what if we just like don't delegate the rest of the 30%? Like we have to say at least like 70% will be reserved for on-campus events.
Yeah.
And then the other, and then we could also say like at least like 1% will be reserved for service.
So like part of this also is just to get the reason why I put like splitting it like that is because we wanted to make sure that people who go off campus also have a certainty as well. It's like, okay, you'll know this is the amount of money that theoretically could be spent by your organizations.
Yeah.
And I'd still like to have like give them that certainty. It's like, oh, if on-campus opportunities are given that certainty, off-campus opportunities, even if the number is lower, should be given some level of certainty as well.
The other thing I just realized that we have to consider as well is the merchandise and marketing fund.
Yeah,
which is
that's
about,
on campus, isn't it?
Huh?
Is that right on campus?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
You're right.
I think that's all right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd like to change it to 70, 25, 5.
For ad hoc?
Yeah.
We don't want to increase that. That's
No one
Yeah.
increase that.
$15,000.
Say 70, 20.
Yeah.
70.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with
70, 25.
As well.
Either or.
But that 70 could roll into ad hoc, or would roll to spring?
It would roll to wherever the board wants to roll it to.
Yeah.
There's
I'm
language in
just
there.
trying to think functionally for you all. Like, you get requests in the fall for the spring, or you get requests for this, you get your fall requests, not this month, it's very confusing. You get requests for the beginning of the semester,
Yep.
for events in the beginning of the semester, and you allocate. Yeah, I don't know. I just also think like, how are you giving direction semester by semester? Oh, it doesn't matter. It's in the semester. That what it does. It's in the beginning of the semester, of the spring. It's in the spring where that. So you just want to. I wonder if you need to make.
The way that I was seeing is like, okay, are you talking about like money rolling over and stuff like that?
Yeah, if you need to put in some certainties around like how much you allocate in the spring for the fall, so that it's not over allocating for the fall, and then you're in the same position you are for the following spring. You see what I'm saying, right? So how much of that 65 or 70 do you intend to allocate semester by semester?
Or we can just do it broadly. One is just like, you must divide the fund. Right? We got rid of this language initially, but like, okay, the finance board must determine how much money will be spent in the spring semester and how much will be spent in the fall semester. And that thing applies still for both of those segments of money. Yeah. Okay. We can definitely do that.
I think we can do that.
Okay, fantastic. All right, we got to put in a little bit of language saying that
We'll make a note.
the overall club allocation fund, we can do it right now if you don't want to get through. All right. Wait, what's the column again? Club line item? Club. What's it called in the budget?
In the budget, it's called, allocation.
Student organization allocation?
Yeah, I don't know. It's club fund? Club budgets, parentheses, allocated by fund.
The overall club budget line item. The overall finance board line. Can we keep it at that?
Yeah, fine.
That'll be divided. Is it?
I thought
Maybe
it
it
was
is.
stipulated like 60% allocated for the fall.
Yeah, that's my question. That's my question.
What is it?
You control F60.
No. Nope. I remember
Maybe
people
fall?
saying they wanted to get rid of it. I don't remember, but someone said, hey, I want to get rid of it. And I was like, oh, okay, sounds good. Quickly. Okay, there we go. It's segmented there. Finance board will further segment those line items between the coming fall and spring semesters.
So, yeah, so they do have to separate it.
But that doesn't indicate by how much.
oh, we need to do it first like this, the overall was segmented into 2 lines, first of all, which is the spring and fall expenditures, then you further segment it into the 313, right? Or do you want to split it up, and it doesn't matter, the order of operations?
No, I don't think it matters,
Right?
because the overall.
The overall
Where
percentages
is
don't
the-
change.
the paragraph before we talk about
What is the order of operations, everyone? Have us.
Fall, spring first, and then everything else.
Yeah. Fall, spring first. Okay, so we need to say that then. Finance board over, okay. So we need to put the language first, right?
I mean, in theory, it's not percentage.
Yeah.
It should implement,
The overall club budget needs to, overall fund. After the passage of the SGA budget, the finance board will segment the overall, this line item, like the club budget's line item into the spring and fall. Yeah. What's the language?
between spring and fall budgets,
Okay.
without the into.
The fall, well, it's fall already.
Fall.
program.
You're right. Okay. This another period, right?
Yeah. Are we gonna change club budgets to overall?
Overall
the
finance board?
Or
Okay.
finance board budget?
Okay. So we get rid of line item. Between the fall and spring semesters, this this fund can be expanded further into. Okay, there we go. Sounds good?
You have to take out, it says this is
This is overall place.
second line at the end.
Overall. Fantastic. Okay. This fund I can't spell.
Yeah.
This fund is then further divided on campus. Okay, everyone? Yep. Fantastic.
You wanna say how much it's divided by?
No. You don't want to spend all the money in the first semester? No, we'll define it.
That was what I was saying, is that like, your spring finance board could spend all of their money in the fall, for the upcoming fall semester, and then leave the upcoming finance board holding the pot, be like, we got no money for spring.
Oh, so,
So-
55, 45.
Does it even be?
I'm wondering, yeah, because like 60 is what we operate under now, or we try to
Yeah.
allocate about 60% of our
Spring
budget.
semester is a little shorter, isn't it?
Hmm?
Spring semester is a
Spring
little shorter.
semesters.
No, I think the events,
Yeah,
Are
just
relatively
bring
like
full
more.
ones.
You want to do 55?
Yeah, 55, 45.
55,
55, 45.
I like that.
That is fine by me.
It's just like 34 months.
Okay.
I think you could also put, I think you could put a note that if you don't allocate, obviously, if you don't allocate that full 55, it's gonna roll over.
Does it roll over into ad hoc? Or that's no ad hoc?
It's gonna, I mean, it's gonna roll over into the following pot, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Well,
It is though.
finance board.
That
Isn't there a stipulation of like money unspent in the fall semester, they have to petition to the finance board or something saying that they want that money to roll over? Like the finance board can decide whether to reallocate that money to someone else or still have them. let them
oh,
have
is
it.
that in there?
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking about like, if you as a finance board allocate 52% of the whole pot through the budgets, the ad hoc, and the off-campus, then there's 3% left. Obviously, that's gonna roll over, right? Right?
Yeah.
I feel like you have something.
So is there language saying that after the date of the event, scheduled, they lose that money and it rolls back to finance board.
Oh, that's what Carla was talking about.
Yes, but
Oh,
you said at the end of the semester, but if you have an event and then you don't spend all that money, do they
Well,
keep
because
that?
they don't provide us the exact date, remember, they just give us an overview of what's going on. Yeah, it's just like you, when you're issued the budget, it's like you need to have it sometime within this time frame. When
So-
you actually want to have it, we leave that up to you.
But what you're asking is, fine, they don't give you the date, but they have their event. And they only spent 7,000 or 9,000. Do they still have access to that too, to reallocate, or is that
No.
rolling back to finance board?
Rolls back to finance board.
That's the question.
Where
That's
is
the
that
interesting
in the
language.
language?
I think we can
Is
add
that in the language?
Well, that would be in a reallocation of this.
Yeah, that would be a reallocation of
And
it.
then finance would just be like, no, you didn't spend that $2,000 for that event.
But if we have like an event the first week of the semester and they don't use all the money and they don't, you're saying they're reallocated?
They would
Because
have
then-
to submit a reallocation.
But if they wanted to use it, they'd have to submit a reallocation request to the finance board.
We should have that be a time window, or else it rolls back after all the invoices are paid. Or else we functionally do not have access to that money again until the spring.
Right.
You have to close.
But it takes them like 2 or 3 months to close the books, right, on a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, stuff that happens in December, even if it rolls back, you're not gonna have it in March.
But the money would have already been allocated by then, right?
But it could roll back into the ad hoc.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Ad hoc.
Because if they get everything paid and they just have that sitting there and the ad hoc's out of money, we basically are just waiting.
So you want like, I think that's a fair
That's fine,
point.
yeah.
So that any money that, I guess, isn't spent after how many days post-event? 60.
New money cannot be spent post-event. The money will run off or return to finance board after all the invoices are paid.
Yeah. I don't know how to phrase it, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's a good point.
So like following the, what is it?
There we go here.
Okay.
Okay.
So what would the time window be?
Oh God, Tanya, can you please fix the formatting for me? It's just ugly.
Oh, okay.
Please, thank you.
Oh, this is, yeah, I mean, there you go.
You can help me remember everything, Candace. So, a week following the event, the organization has an opportunity request to submit a reallocation to the finance board to move. This is too many ways.
Just say
So
it.
for a week after the event, the organization can petition the finance board to move unspent monies to a different event. Otherwise,
Oh, they shouldn't be able to move between events though.
oh,
Yeah. It's just like finance
I thought
board
that's
gives
what
you
you
that
were
much
saying.
money for that specific event. It's not that, hey, I want an additional 2K to spend
All
on this,
this, right?
and I spend it on that. It's just like theoretically, if it's like the finance board has enough money, then it's perfectly fine. But let's just say the finance board has to make cuts already. It's just like if one organization already received cuts, then theoretically that money could have gone to them, and it should not be allowed to be shifted to some organizations in the event that they wanted.
so I guess after the event, you cannot spend money submitted for that event. After all
Yeah.
invoices are paid, the money will return to finance board,
Yeah.
ad hoc, or
Scott, please help me out with this one. I know what you want, but you need to give me some language.
I need help making the language.
So, hold on, give me a minute there.
Can we just keep it simple? Any leftover
Following-
money from events will be shifted to the ad hoc process.
We need to like operationalize when though.
We provide that to SABC, doesn't need to be with the budgetary statutes, does it?
Does
And they do have the opportunity to submit a reallocation request for within that semester.
Yeah.
So, like, they need to have time to be able to submit a reallocation request after an event ends or up to a point after the event
Wait,
ends.
how would they be using the reallocation request after it though? If everything's been paid for.
Eh?
How would they be using the reallocation event if everything's already been paid for?
Yeah, because then if they were able to do that, they would be like, oh, we want to go to a conference and use $2,000 from the event and just reallocate.
They have to ask.
They have to act, and then we could say.
But the
But
money
like,
should be
but like the whole point is we didn't approve that, so when they just have to submit something else.
Yeah, theoretically, they would then go through the secondary ad hoc system because theoretically that money was supposed to be provided to the overall student body. It wasn't reserved for a single organization until we'd reserved it for that specific event at that amount. Once that event occurs and stuff like that, the money that didn't use doesn't mean it's still yours to use because
Isn't that kind of the point of doing the whole budget is we're not micromanaging how exactly they're using the money for
they can use the money however they want within the event, but once the event is done, if you have leftover money, the money's not yours anymore. It needs to be rolled, in my opinion, it should be rolled back to the secondary ad hoc system so everyone gets a fair chance at it again.
Once an event has passed, spending from the allocation for that event is prohibited. After all invoices are received, the money returns to finance board.
Scott, get your laptop out.
No, get your laptop.
That's pretty good wording.
She's kind of helping me.
Tanya, you got this?
No.
Oh.
Scott, get your laptop out. Because I guess the point would
So
be like, like on that point, like if you have an event and then like, you know, you're not going to use all the money, you just say, oh,
Oh, and remember everyone, we can change this freely until literally the last minute in office. Remember, if you notice anything that you don't like in the future, please bring it up and bring it to the board because we have a lot of months to do things.
It has to be after all invoices are paid because it takes them a while to pay everything off from that event.
If it's during the fall, though, theoretically, can that money also just be allocated again for the budgeting process as well, so it doesn't have to be shifted to the ad hoc?
That's right.
Like it just needs to be shifted into either the following semester
Ending
or
over
fall at least.
For that or?
No, for the overall amount.
When are budgets due in the fall, November?
So it wouldn't be
No,
the
they're
secondary
like-
anymore.
Oh, I'm
We're
pretty
turning
There
into
we go,
the-
yeah, it's early.
Right.
Yeah, you get something by the end of
So that money would like basically be going into the semester anyway.
Yeah.
Or first semester ad hoc or second semester budgeting because there's no concrete budget.
I mean, I think a better way to do this is that we just ask David or lawyer to have all of this ready by the time, what's it called? The end of the semester is like the 31st at the end of the year. And then for that leftover money, we would then shift that into the ad hoc. Yeah, I'd have to go to the ad hoc system for the spring. So yeah, I guess.
So are we putting it back where it came from or the ad hoc?
Okay, so if there's leftover money in the fall, it has to go into the spring ad hoc system because the allocation during the fall would have already occurred for the spring semester. There isn't additional money for it.
Yeah, because it can't be pre-budgeted during
Yeah.
the fiscal year.
Unless we choose to issue the edited budgets where we utilize the money that came back in to give back to the student organization to issue or issue budgets, which we can do. It's just that that's always difficult as who gets that extra money then. Yeah. Or do we just like simply roll it over and say like, okay, but we have a little bit left over money, we shift it into a secondary allocation process in the spring. So if you have additional ideas, spring's your time to do that.
So we wouldn't be staying within the fall, or are we talking about the end of fall?
You can't use because like we wouldn't have the numbers until the very end of fall anyway.
And then time
you have to
goes to
shift it to
budget
spring.
is too late.
Yeah. So it would be shifted into the spring ad hoc system. Any leftover money from the fall semester shifted into the spring ad hoc system.
And for the spring semester, have to automatically be shifted to the ad hoc system events.
What do you mean automatically? Yeah, it automatically
If
rolls
it's
into
an
it.
event in the spring that they don't use $1,000 for, that money has to go automatically to the ad hoc system for that fiscal year.
Yeah, or no,
Yeah.
I mean, if
Well,
by then though, because it's that end of the semester, and by the time we get the books closed, it's just like functionally that's just going in reserves.
I'm so sorry, Kunal.
Just made a noise.
Yeah. Functionally,
Oh, that's awesome to watch.
Really scared too for a minute.
Oh, that's a good thing. Yes, same jumps. I watched it.
So, right? So spring, if like there's unused money in the spring, we just roll into the reserves then because we wouldn't know until, okay, let's just say they have an event in February. SCBSC gets us actual numbers by, if we're
Yeah, it's
lucky.
the same situation you're in now.
Exactly,
Going
so
to the
we
reserve.
automatically just shift functionally in reserves.
That's what happens now.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much we can do about that unless we literally just demand that a week after all books need to be closed or something.
There's no way. There's no
Exactly.
way.
And that can't actually occur.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are we language we got right now? Once an event is passed, all the rules all okay, secondary act on system.
Will return to reserves. Yeah.
I would take the S off of budgets. On, and spring semester, budget, budgets, oh no, maybe keep, hold on. The fall semester budgets, this will go into the spring ad hoc system, and spring semester budgets will, oops, what is it? Will return.
Added a comment with, I think what I tried to say.
65% of 313,000.
What did Scott say?
Once an event has a new spending from
65%
that
of
allocation,
313,000.
it didn't say that on the rest.
I would have put
313,000.
I would just say spending is
203,000.
right?
What?
203,400.
Once an event has passed, new spending from that allocation is prohibited, save that of invoices approved on the ResGap. Any leftover funds are returned to the finance board.
Can you read his comment?
Sorry, 1 second. This thing's cut off. I can't literally.
That's so, there's a bar.
Oh,
it's a bar.
Oh.
Oh,
computers!
a small thing. Yeah. Once an event is passed, new spending from that allocation is prohibited. Save that of. All right.
Click show more.
Show more.
Show more.
Oh, thank God. I was like, that's. What do you mean?
You know, do you not use Google Docs?
I do not. I use Word.
What?
Word?
Oh, heathen.
I use Word, Excel, and I use OneNote. I use OneNote.
Window.
Once an event, new spending from that allocation is saved from that of
The 90s.
invoices approved on the finance board. We need to specify where it's going though. Return to the finance board. His bum. It's just like return to the finance board also could mean we just throw it into reserves.
Return to the finance board, or don't we just have one? Don't we just have one account though?
For further allocation, theoretically, you want to specify that it moves into the ad hoc system, right? Specifically that it can't be used for any other thing. Like, you know, the way that I was thinking was like, okay, unspent funds from these type of events, everyone needs to have equal opportunity to go back and get those funds. Therefore, you need to explicitly say that it goes to that one area, rather than saying theoretically we can just shift it into budgets wherever we like. It's just like, we can send a message, oh, so this organization needs $7,000, do you want it? That's not particularly fair, so yeah.
Look at that.
Fantastic.
It's kind of cool.
Do we also have language saying?
Isn't this the same thing?
No.
No?
My wording is different. Do we
Okay.
also have language saying that the ad hoc fund of the fall semester will roll over to the budgeting process of the spring semester?
I would think the ad hoc would roll.
No, you can't do it.
You can?
Okay, let's just say you're saying there's leftover money would roll into the spring semester budgeting system, right?
Oh, because you budget that part.
Budget has to start in the fall, you can't actually budget yet.
We need to make sure it goes somewhere if there's leftover funds though, so we have to,
Which one, from the spring?
like if ad hoc money from the fall would go into the ad hoc of the spring.
That could happen.
We
Yeah,
need-
that could happen.
We need to say that explicitly though, in these policies.
Where does it say that?
Oh, wait, you said like the ad hoc specifically having leftover money?
I mean, the ad hoc leftover money, it's like if you really want to shift it into the overall, you can too. Into the regular budgeting process. It just says a minimum of whatever amount has to be
No, this is-
allocated for it.
This is separate than that comment.
Right.
Because you said we can't use the fall ad hoc fund for the
Yeah.
spring budgeting system. So do we have language saying that the leftover money from the fall ad hoc goes to the spring ad hoc?
It wouldn't go to the spring ad
Well,
hoc.
yes, it would,
Would it?
Well, why not?
because it's part of the overall allocation.
It's 5%. It's like, wait, the way that we split it up though is it's like it goes split from spring to fall first, and then it's further split down to hit those levels.
But still, if it's leftover, where does it go?
Oh, where does it go? Good thoughts.
I think it would roll
Where does
over
it go?
from the pot of the fall to the pot of the spring.
Yeah.
Right. And then you could split that, but it's
You can't move it. I don't think you should, I don't know.
I mean, you could move if the budgets were lacking. You could take the budget from the budget. the money from the ad hoc if it wasn't spent and then roll it over into the overall one.
So then
It's
you-
simply
I
not
think-
being touched.
You can say, yeah, I
I mean,
You
I
have
think
to
it's
put
the
language.
board's discretion. Like if no one, theoretically, let's say that no one actually touches a secondary ad hoc system, then there's no point in having the money roll over then. You'd actually want to shift that into the overall funds amount or the overall budgeting amount instead. But you can't because you know it has to, oh, I hate everything.
Should we, rather than what I say on that comment then, should we say to the finance, to an account of the finance board's discretion?
1 second, let me think through everything.
That feels like liability.
yeah.
Big
I like
health
that.
We
description.
have to shift it. Yeah,
Hey, let's put it all in Daniel Wang's.
Yeah, we have to shift it.
Finance board's like, I don't know why I'm not talking.
Yeah, we have to shift it.
The situation I'm thinking of is that if we do not use the fall ad hoc, their money would be stuck in there and the board would not have access.
Yeah.
No, I think you, right, but I think it has to shift to the spring half.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I think that's where it's gotta
Does
go.
it have to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I mean,
Or-
logistically speaking, yeah, it has to, I think. Yeah, it does. Otherwise, where else are you gonna put it? Unless we create new funds out of nowhere.
Because in any given semester, the budget for the next
Right.
semester is due 7 weeks into that semester. So we're
Yeah.
halfway through.
So you wouldn't know for the ad hoc until the very last minute, so it have to.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. So we shift it, it gets shifted either into the ad hoc or maybe the source, if the source needs it. Because the finance board makes the purchases for the source.
Do we have to specify that it goes to the spring ad hoc system versus the fall ad hoc system? Can't we just call it like the ad hoc system or whatever?
Then the spring, though, the money
I mean-
is rolled in reserves.
If it comes back like soon enough though, like,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking that like the whole point of the budget is like kind of knowing what student norms are up to, and then like hopefully with the liaison system we would know if money is being spent or
Yeah.
not spent, and then you would have an idea of what money is like rolling back like immediately
Right.
or like within the same fiscal year. So it would like I wouldn't want to explicitly say that it goes into the reserves. I would just say it would whatever it would still
So
go back
either
to
or,
the ad hoc
we can
system.
just say rolls back to the ad hoc system or goes into the reserves.
So what if it just goes into the ad hoc
Yeah.
until the end of the fiscal year and then goes to reserves?
Well, it automatically does that, so maybe we can get rid of the reserves part of that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, get rid of the reserves part.
Because it's going to roll into the reserve.
It doesn't, yeah, it
It
doesn't
will
matter anyways.
eventually roll into the reserve.
Exactly. Fantastic.
So any rollback from spring would also go into spring ad hoc, so that way it automatically goes into reserves, okay?
Yeah.
It's not even centered.
Yeah. Has the live stream been streaming outside? We're actually in nature stream right now, everyone.
No, it's streaming. It just wasn't centered. It was only
Oh.
focused on like this.
Oh, I was on main screen.
Candace and Raven.
Center screen.
Just Raven Fan.
We didn't catch them in here.
That's an awesome game, by the way. Raven?
Yeah.
I know.
I just wanted to.
I know.
Okay. So for the back to the numbers question
Maybe
now.
noted.
65, 25, 10? I'm okay with keeping it that way. I mean,
No, time. You say 75, 25, 10 is not.
For what?
For the split between on, off, and. No, it is. Wait.
65, 25, 10 is definitely.
Oh, wait.
Isn't it?
It is. Oh, yeah, I thought we could change it.
I mean, okay, so that was $203,000 issued to on-campus. Yeah, Kunal did it for me. It's like 203, right?
203, 450.
Yeah, at 65%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then,
You want me to do that 70 if you want?
yeah, do it at 70. That's what on top of 20.
Who's doing that right
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the math major.
now? I was not.
And Brenda, kind of. Oh, you're math major. I'm math major. 219.
219,100 for on-campus. I think that's a fair amount, 70% on-campus.
Is to what? 219,100. Yeah.
219,100.
Based on next year's budget.
That's 70.
17.
Yeah.
Really?
So what do we want to do for that? I think $220,000 functionally is a good amount of stuff for on-campus,
I'm
especially
in favor of
because
70,
There's 20,000 of it's going to t-shirts and stuff anyways.
How much?
Wonder what?
No, some of it's going to marketing, and then some of
Did
it's
you
going
say 70,000?
20, and then some going to
Marketing
marketing.
and merchandise, right? So $200,000 for actual events on campus.
That's only like 8% for the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah, $200,000 for on-campus, and then, I mean, this is of course up to next year's board. They can allocate 0 to t-shirts if they want to. We can't force them to do it, but we'll advise, allocate money for t-shirts. And merchandising was up.
You just check the wording and the comments on that part that's highlighted still.
All documentation of reimbursements must be submitted at least 5 days before the start of the next semester. Once an event has passed and all invoices are paid, all leftover spending is prohibited by student organization, with the exception of those approved through the finance board reallocation process. That last little bit?
I would strike that last, everything after the comma.
Yeah, we'd strike that because I thought we weren't gonna reallocations to like different events that we haven't seen or approved.
Next. Wait.
Sorry, Carl, take your time.
Oh, I was just thinking the reimbursements part, would we have to move up when reimbursement would have to be submitted if we're assuming that like we allocated this much money and they spent money out of pocket and they're trying to use that for reimbursements? Like, would we just have to change the deadline for reimbursements to be like a week after the purchase or something like that? In that way that like that money doesn't already go into the ad hoc system before they're trying to.
It's after the event.
Yeah.
It's after the event.
I mean, functionally, what you're saying is that
So before the start of the
that events are not going to close until 5 days before the beginning of the semester. Like the books on them are not going to close because a student could come and drop a receipt off. That's what that says.
And we want them to drop a receipt within a week after the event.
Yeah, that's not what that says.
I know, that's not even.
That was a deadline. I was just like, hey, so that this thing at least, I don't know exactly how SABSC works, but like this is what I was
I
working
mean, I
with.
think a week is not great time. I know I don't do it in a week.
I think it's 2 weeks for reimbursements right now.
Okay.
I'm sure it is. And people don't do it. I'm sure it is.
Is this a, I think this is
I think
an
you
SABSC question, or is it a question for us?
It's a question, I think, for SABSC is what would they be comfortable with?
Yeah. Yeah, so we need to add language for that, but right now, we'll talk with.
So you can't vote on this.
No, we can, we just make
I guess you
modifications.
can.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
The way it's explained right now is that, without language of when they should put the money back to us, it is essentially open until the book's closed.
Okay.
So we need, if we want that money to actually roll back throughout the semester,
Okay, so
we have to put that in.
3 weeks, 1 month, what's everyone doing?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
What does SAB operate on?
2 weeks, right?
For SGA, what we tell them.
What do you mean?
I can look up what the current policy is on reimbursements right now if you want.
I wouldn't want them to have to do something that more than what they already do, right? Like have two processes, that would be confusing.
Okay. So we can put 2 weeks tentatively, and then we'll double check.
Yes.
Sounds good. Tanya, can you put some language in there, please?
Is it 14 business days? 10 business days?
10 business days.
10 business days. Do they know what business days are?
Yeah, they
know.
Weekdays.
Come on, if you watch.
They don't find out.
Yeah.
It's some real world.
Oh.
How are we feeling on this?
If they do not, they can simply use the search engine.
They have never done
Sure.
They can use it.
And for 3.8.2, that kind of contradicts it as
Wait, what?
because it says once an event has passed and all invoices are paid.
And
Mine
reimbursements?
says that once an event has passed, new spending, save invoices. So that's different language. If that makes sense.
Could you just add once events pass and all reimbursement forms submitted in invoices?
But the point of what I'm trying to say is only invoices that have already been submitted can is what the money can be used for. They cannot decide to spend post-event on new things.
Is that not the same?
Isn't that prohibited? It's prohibited by, all of your training is prohibited by. I'm confused.
It's like an and/or statement.
Okay, so functionally what I think Scott's trying to get at is that they can't try and just spend, well, how would they do that? It's just spend money on things that they didn't use, but then claim they were using?
Well, no, it's just a specific language.
Explain.
But like then they would have, wouldn't they send it up to SABSC and SABSC would be like, you already had the event.
I guess.
And they'd be like, what?
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, what?
Yeah.
And then and then we all sit down together and be like, so what's going on? I just think that probably.
Are we voting on this today, or can I play with the language after the meeting?
Well, my God, you guys had a couple weeks to look at this.
Don't you have to run it through legal again anyway?
No. No.
We changed things though.
Yeah. They're good. We're going to send them to read for double check, but like if they make any additional ones, we can make modifications. But I'd like to have something a bit more concrete down so for our education thing that I'm working on this spring break. We can actually have some solid things down to work around and then make modifications to that as they comes through. I mean, in theory, yeah, we can delay this for another 2 weeks. In theory.
Don't delay too much because we need to be able to present the work.
Yeah. It kind of puts everything a bit on a crunch without anything to it. It's just
What do you mean?
stuff.
Okay, we just have to fix this language now.
Looks like I'm not going to the baseball game, everyone.
No, I think what he's saying is that you can vote on it with the spirit of it, but you can amend it in 2 weeks with the correct one.
So yes, like you like the idea of it, but then you want to make modifications,
As in like a straw poll and then we come back?
No, like an amendment.
like amendment.
Like proposed amendments.
Like the
So this becomes the rules, and then I change the rules after I figure out what I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is what Daniel is.
Because it's like a base.
Yeah,
It's like, I mean, the overall idea of it's still there. It's just like we're kind of doing small details now.
Yeah, that would micromanage.
And
What happens if an organization, we get money rolled back and an organization comes in with a request later this semester?
good question.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I think that what you would, the legislation, are you talking about based on this?
If we make this
I
the
think-
statutes today,
I think both of I think you can say that this is in play for fall 2019.
Effective when the new people take office.
But like that, I think in your legislation, you have to have language about that these things will be concurrent, right? That you will have budgetary statutes for spring 2019 right now that apply for FY19. And then you will have budgetary statutes that apply to FY20.
how would they submit their fall budgets then?
Because it would be applying to FY20, all of FY20.
But that would be like after June, after when they have to have their budget submitted by.
You could do this process during the spring. You can have both things happening at the same time.
Okay.
Yes. You have to have language in your legislation that says that.
Time to make some modifications in legislation because the way I read it was not good.
Where's the legislation?
That's in there.
Oh.
Bless you.
Bless you. Oh, bless you. If all the blessings are
And then we just cross everything out and then copy pasted the new one in.
Wait, does this be a whole, like, why can't you just write we're amending the budgetary statute?
I don't know what Exhibit A meant. I'm like, throw it in.
Yeah, I think that. Reagan?
He actually kind of scares me. I'm not joking.
It's going up. I need to learn how to read it. Would we like to take like a 10 minutes to actually take you to the next line of business? Because I want to get this guy confirmed before we head out.
Because then we'd have to amend the agenda, right? Because then we.
Never mind then. Ryan, you have to wait a little bit.
The agenda we do.
Yeah, it's fine. We can continue working through this one. So we need to modify the legislation as well. You know what? I don't know. 2 weeks. Yeah, why not? We can table for 2 weeks.
Yeah, you want to ask?
Is everyone on our way table with it?
Yes, let's table it.
Fantastic.
Thumbs up.
I will actually do it.
What?
I will do it over spring break.
Oh,
I
really?
promise.
I was about to say, like.
3 whole weeks, my dude.
It's been difficult.
All right.
Okay, I'll have it after.
I move to table FBO 100 1819. So, bring down our
Wow, triple digits.
Wow.
Classic.
So it's either that or it's going to be Ryan. I'm like, Ryan, you should be 99. Okay. All those for tabling, please raise your hands now. 6 for, 0 against. Please look through these, everyone. Make comments where you need them, because I'll definitely go through those. Scott, as you know, I went through yours and I put language in it, but without knowing your concerns, I cannot make modifications. Or you are also free to make modifications. Please keep them in the comments just so everyone knows what's different, but yeah.
Make 200 suggestions. is what
Yeah.
I recommend.
Oh, and special shout out to Brenda for her thousands and thousands of grammatical corrections for me. It was painful for her to read this document. Fantastic, everyone.
I love the findings.
What is the next item on the agenda?
What's the next item on the agenda?
Actually, the budget.
It is the budget, everyone.
Okay.
We're behind. Hello, everyone. Let's talk about the budget.
Yeah, so.
Talk about the budget. What's the budget?
What's the budget, everyone?
Good budget.
I have a piece of legislation here. It says, approve the budget, y'all.
Senate changed the Senate's budget now.
Yeah. Is that like what they need to? Were you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to talk about what happened?
So, Senate moved their line item into the Executive Branch Initiative Fund, increasing that. And I also wanted to talk to Senate about the Retriever, but they voted not to have discussion on that and passed it.
All right, everyone. Here's the budget. How does this generally even work? You know?
You vote, yes or no on this budget?
Yes. We can
Yeah.
only pass or deny the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. Okay,
Wait,
everyone.
No.
Is there discussion points at the current moment?
There is.
All right.
Please do not have discussion.
All right, everyone. Let's have a bit of discussion about the budget. Scott.
So, as you all know, the executive branch is preparing an MOU to sign with the Retriever. There are certain things I want added to the MOU, and those are that the Retriever would have to have information of how many papers are put down, picked up, and left over, and that they would have to formalize their form of SRC. I do not want to vote on the budget until all MOUs are signed. Colin said he would not do that himself, so I would prefer to hold it here so we keep our power basically on what is being done.
Wait. What was that last part?
I do not want to vote on the budget today while the MOU is not signed with the Retriever.
Okay.
And,
Is there a second part to that?
Like holding our power here.
Yeah,
Because we keep our power here if we do not vote on the budget today before the MOU is signed.
and I heard you say that you would like to lobby the executive branch to add language to the MOU.
I already have, and they said they would, but I want that to be signed before we vote.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of agree with the signage part. I think it would be great. But
With the things that I said that I would like to add to the MOU, I talked to Julia Argudis, and she said she would be okay with that as well.
So what are the things specifically?
That the Retriever has to know how many papers are put down, picked up, and left over, and be able to provide us those numbers, because when I talked Sunday, it seemed as they were not able to. And that they have to have a formalized form of SRC, or an equivalent to SRC, so that since we are increasing their stipends, that we know that people who are getting paid are doing their work, and there's documentation of that.
But isn't how they get paid based on what they submit for this time of their staffing?
I guess so, but the circulation team is supposed to be able to provide the numbers that I just said I wanted, and they did not have those numbers.
You said, okay.
That's part of their job already, and
so,
it seemed like it was not completed.
Just for context, can you explain like how you met with Julia on Sunday and like what that meant? You met in the retriever's office, like you can give a little more context for that, please.
So the executive branch has had conversations with the retriever. I wanted to hear the information firsthand, so I personally reached out to Julia, and she was open to it. I also talked to her about the statutes as the treasurer of MTC and have updates as that as well. And I also talked to her about my liaison of Bartleby, and they are working together on distribution of Bartleby magazine using the retriever spins, which I'm happy about. So I was able to promote board collaboration here.
I got one thing about that one real bit before we move on to it. Could we ask the retriever to also, because they're both print organizations on campus, and they have the reserves for it.
Oh,
yeah.
no. Ask the Bartleby to ask the retriever to print their.
Not print, just to like increase partnerships between them.
They currently are.
Yeah.
Because Bartleby was funded at, I think, 50%, the retriever plans to help them already.
Fantastic. Okay.
So I'm worried about the stipulations of like changing the MOU to like, I'm more concerned about the SRC like body within the retriever, because I think that is, like when we were talking about the budget last week, I think we were all getting a little too micromanaging of like what is exactly the retriever doing, should we be dissecting their budget, and that's not exactly the purpose of like the SGA overall kind of giving them money. And I understand like they'll want to do that because we want that money to be used efficiently. But I think like making them try to do an SRC or like some kind of committee within their order to make sure their stipends and everything's being allowed is like trying to make them operate like we do, and that's not necessarily how they operate. And I don't like us setting stipulations of like you have to do this thing because we do it and we think that's like the best thing that you should do. And I understand like that's like still like it's in a good premise, and like yes, we want those stipends, that money to be used effectively, but we also like want to like the more important thing is that they're increasing stipends in general, that people are actually getting paid more for their work. And yes, they should be evaluated on like how they're doing their work, but like did you ask the retriever if they already have a kind of process like that? Like I'm concerned that like we're telling them we have to do things the way we do them without understanding how they operate within their org to do maybe similar things.
I understand. I asked Julia if they had anything kind of like second review committee, and they currently call it mid-semester review, but I want that institutionalized, and if we are giving them money, I want to have the information and know how the money was spent. And that the money was spent for people doing their job.
When you say institutionalized, that's as compared to the system that they have now that you don't see as being institutionalized, even though it's a review that they do have in place.
I'm confused by your language, but to make sure that it's like in writing that they have that.
So your understanding currently is that that is not in writing?
It is in process. It's in process of implementation currently. This is semester review is something that was started, I believe, either this or last semester, or this year at least.
I can do that.
But
If a different editor-in-chief is elected, I think they would be able to change that. So.
I'm just going to go back a little bit to Dr. Carmen's comment of like having it seem like you're trying to have them do things like we do things, which I don't think is really a great thing considering we're like, in the process of also like, reforming our own self-review. So I don't think it's
explained it better earlier. Maybe if you want to speak what
I think
Colin and I
that
talked about.
what we're getting at though is like simply the retriever has to have oversight mechanisms, which it currently lacks.
Yes.
And they have to be institutionalized with it because the money that they're getting paid from is the student dollar. The student has the right to understand how the money is spent.
Is that an expectation of all charter orgs that you give money to?
I think it should be.
But is it?
But yeah,
It's not
that-
really, is it?
I mean, we must move towards the standard somehow then. Or do we have
But
to?
I think that with one.
I don't think starting, yeah.
I think that's a conversation to have about charter orgs. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's like SEB and stuff like that. They have an active advisor as well. But all the things get cleared through. Hallie, I imagine, right?
But I wouldn't fault them for not having an advisor with their advisor letting
Exactly.
Yeah, I think just to add on to what Carly and Tanya are saying, I don't think we should really push like systems and institutions on that. I think it's more, and it's more of a conversation between like how we do things. And I don't think just starting out of the blue with MOU saying like, oh yeah, make this because we want to know, instead of sitting down with ourselves, SEB, the retriever, and being like accountability and talk about like how SGA already has that and how can we move forward in that process as contingent upon like getting SGA funds and things like that. But I don't think I support having it right now. That I think it just doesn't make sense to have it right now as we've had not had that conversation before.
I think to have that with alternate organizations at some time that's separate and apart from this makes sense to like have that increased accountability, but I don't think that it should go within this particular part of the legislation. Like I don't want us to be kind of pulling money over their head or refusing to give them that money until they sign this thing necessarily. Like yes, they should sign it, and hopefully that's like a conversation that we had, but like refusing them to give them money until they meet our demands is not very good relationship building. And like if we want these changes to happen, it should be more conversation based, like Tanya said, outside of this setting. So I'm more for passing the budget now because like I know that they can operate fully fine with the 60,000 now, and even in, well, I don't want to say in the case that they don't want to sign the MOU because it's indicated that they have goodwill and wanting to sign the MOU. Like I don't think that serves as a problem currently because we're giving them 60,000 right now, regardless. Does that make sense?
The only concern I have with the retriever is sustainability. Theoretically, they're increasing their stipends significantly, and they're dipping out of the reserves to pay for it. What does it look like when they run out? What's the goal?
This is something I also talked to Colin and Brenda about because presumably we would have to either move the retriever to a different funding source, such as like a media fee, or they would come back when the reserves run out and expect like $80,000.
And I don't know if we should be spending close to 9-8% to a single charter organization. All for newspaper, to be honest, that's a personal opinion of mine. But yeah.
Do you spend more on any other organization?
SEB gets 246, but SEB's scope is significantly larger in my opinion. Yeah,
The MOU, again, is only for 1 year. So to say that what happens when the reserves run out, I think, assumes more than we know right now. If that makes sense. Because, like, yeah, stipends, once they go up, they're not going to come down. Like, we know that. But this MOU is in place for next year. And that's literally it. And it can be changed, it can be renewed, it could not be renewed. It's not set in place for, like, perpetuity. So.
for me, it's just that we're entering the safe zone, and you know how difficult it is for SGA back out of things. We oftentimes say, yeah, we'll do a seed money thing, and then for the bikes, we said we're going to pay for the bikes for a little bit, and then, well, here we are, many years later, we're still paying for these bikes. Until finally, Colin said, we're not paying for the bikes.
Yeah, $100,000 from the bikes.
Yeah.
We're still paying for the bikes.
We're still paying for the bikes, fantastic.
But I mean, this, like, to Brenda's point, like, this has, like,
That's an expiration.
yeah, like, I'm just not understanding the argument that, like, we're perpetually in this because, like,
We're not.
Not that we're kicking it down the line or anything, but it's just to set up expectations for now and in place of them getting the stipends, like where they want, like where we want it to be, and then like, I mean, that's the end of that. The further conversation needs to happen. That needs to happen. I think on this point of sustainability, I again don't think it's like, not that we should be wasteful, but I don't know if it's our place to like tell them what, like again, tell them what to do. I think we can have conversations with them, but I don't think it's like, hey, like, you know, Community is declining, you need to find other sources, or SGA is not going to continue funding because you don't reach enough people, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's constructive, and I don't know if, like, voting based upon that is a good idea, like, in my current situation. So, I don't know.
Well, for me, my sole question is that, okay, theoretically, the SGA allocates the money given to it by the student body's best interests. If we're not allowed to take those considerations into factor, how do we make a determination of what is in the student's best interests, other than the fact that we're throwing the money towards certain organizations, and we don't get to have effectiveness measures. We don't have the ability to actually take considerations of how effectively the organization is functioning. How is that actually stewardship of the student dollar rather than we're just giving it away?
If you wanted to know how the organizations function, that happens in conversations that you have with the organization prior to deciding on whether or not to vote.
So if the organization doesn't have the information to provide you how it's doing, that's what I wanted. You said we cannot hold them to that standard effectively.
Are you talking about in your meeting with Julie on something that you were able to provide what you were asking?
That I wanted them to be able to provide that next year. That's why I wanted them.
Okay. So maybe it was just short notice and not having the information on hand. Maybe it was like a bunch of things. But I think like I feel like we're getting a sense of like maybe personal criticisms or just like whatever of the retriever that like are being held to a certain standard of like, well, you know SCB is doing this and they're doing great and we love it. And then with the retriever we're kinda like, extra critical, and like I think we just need to be more conscious of that, of how we're approaching this budget now, as saying like I think we're being extra critical of the retriever, not giving them necessarily, having those conversations with them about, and like we have those conversations, but like I'm saying like give them some leniency, and the point of this MOU is to give them leniency in the whole of next year to have these conversations more in full and understand their processes better, so come next fiscal year we could have like be on the same page more and make a better determination on like how much to allocate them for fiscal year 21 or however next year's SGA decides to do that.
But I sat down with them and did have this conversation, and these are things they said they can do.
What things it is that they can do?
The points of the MOU that I wanted to make, they said those are things they can do and they would be okay with that in the MOU. And now you're saying it's not okay because you don't think we're holding SEB to the same standard.
I'm saying I think we just need to be conscientious that we're being extra critical of the retriever. Like I don't think that there's a problem with the MOU, and I don't have a problem with adding things to the MOU. I'm just saying like be conscious of like how we're talking about it now, because I think I just think people are getting like extra personal about it. That it needs to be. So I'm just of the opinion that this MOU will likely be signed and passed, and I don't think that it not being signed currently should prohibit or like postpone the passing of the budget.
Colin said that he would not sign off on the budget until the MOUs were signed as well, though.
Okay.
So that's still not passing the budget because MOUs have been signed.
Okay, I still think it should pass this time.
So it sounds like you need to take a vote as to whether or not to vote on the budget.
All right. Straw poll, everyone. All those for option A, which is to pass, have a vote regarding the budget today, and all those for option B, to not have a vote regarding the budget today. Clear? Or good? Yep. Okay, double check it, all right? I've gotten confusion before. All those for option A to vote on the budget today, please raise your hands. 4. All those against? 2. All right, fantastic. We'll vote on the budget today. Seeing that, do we have additional discussion points?
Is there, I'm just curious as to, for like, since you didn't want to vote on the budget today, is there a chance / are you thinking of not voting to not pass the budget in this vote?
I will be voting no. Yeah.
What does abstaining do in this case?
You can't abstain for this vote. You don't have a valid reason for it.
Has to be a conflict of interest.
Is that true for finance board?
Yeah, that's specifically said. Either you sit on keyboard or direct. Yeah. Okay. So, go ahead.
Okay. Colin, for the MOUs, when's like the expected passage of them?
Whenever we can.
Okay. So like,
But it's so, and I told Scott this, so it's not just the retriever MOU, that's one MOU that we have outstanding. I'm not signing anything until all the MOUs that we have are signed.
okay.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And everyone that's involved in this was the one that thought,
what?
like anyone that's affected by those MOUs is aware of not signing until they're all done with. Or until you have them all.
I'm still confused about what you're asking.
So anyone that's impacted by that is aware that you don't intend on signing until you have them all, correct?
He's saying
Sign
that
the budget.
departments who you are waiting for a signature on an MOU, do they know that you're not going to sign the budget until you sign the MOU?
I don't think they know that. And I don't necessarily see that as pertinent information until we go to SAFRB. So,
Why is it imperative that the budget is passed today without us knowing what the MOUs are? Like, basically, if you vote to pass it today, the language of the MOU could change, and then you do not get any say over the budget after this. By not voting today, we keep our power to either approve or deny the budget based on the language of the MOU and complete information. We are voting without complete information if we vote today.
I don't see it as that. I see voting today as being aware and accepting of what is presented, and the MOUs as to be that like continued conversation in the meantime.
It's either held up here though or held up at common. So I don't understand why you want to vote on the presented information when we could have.
Well, if we don't vote today, that gives it another 2 weeks that the MOU could potentially sign. I feel like it's just more waiting around if we're not signing it today.
I think it's just like Colin, personally as well as me, it's just like right now we're not voting on a finished product. It's not guaranteed. And we could simply wait 2 weeks and vote upon a finished product when the MOU is theoretically signed.
If everything goes through as planned, then we just literally vote next Tuesday. It doesn't matter because we're not being seen by students.
SAFRB.
That one until April. So it does not matter if it gets held up here or Colin. If it gets held up here, we have complete information when we vote after spring break, essentially.
I agree.
We're on the
There are multiple people in sport.
You were? I was kind of maybe idea of the complete product.
Okay. Well, then we're at 3-3, which is a tie.
No, you're not. You're at 3-2 because you don't vote
It's a tie, yeah.
unless it's a tie.
Wait, no, I vote in a tiebreaker. I can't vote twice.
You can't vote to make a tie.
I'm pretty sure I
Happened
can.
before though.
Yeah, I'm allowed to vote to make a tie. I can't vote again to break a tie. At least that's
You can't vote twice.
That's in the bylaws.
That's what it's supposed to say. I mean, double check the guidance docs.
In the bylaws, it says a chair cannot ever vote twice, even to break a tie.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I can't vote for the tie. Yeah. Okay.
Complete information. I'm not comfortable with the idea of just pass the budget and all of this column. We need to know what we have.
There is no need to rush it through. Please do not do what Senate did and just rush it through for no reason.
Was there like any conversations, Scott? Like
I
about the retriever specific. Oh, yeah.
I went to Senate to talk about the retriever. They overruled me and just pushed it through. because I think they want to go home or something.
I think
That's kind of disappointing.
I think that's a unfair characterization on it.
I probably understand your point when it comes to like we're being too critical of the retriever, but this is just about the information and as a whole. So I think getting those MOUs and understanding what we're getting ourselves for, what's going to happen with the budget in the future is important.
One question is there, like, if we delayed by 2 weeks, is there damage that would occur theoretically, or do we push timelines or something like that? Like, what's the negative consequence of waiting?
I can see your point of like, if we don't, then that does put a little more pressure on the retriever to sign that and make sure it's finalized, which isn't necessarily a negative thing. I see your point.
Okay. So we'll have a new straw poll. Option A is to vote today. Option B is to wait 2 weeks and vote then. All those for option A. 0. All those for option B. 6. We will table this until, what is that, the 25th? I believe it's the 25th. All right, everyone. Final thing on the agenda is the confirmation of Ryan. Yes, took a while, guys. I do apologize about that one. But we have someone here now. This is Ryan. Ryan is, he has previously served at his community college on a board that is similar to the finance board. So, and I believe he is good for this organization.
I found my window.
Right. So, Ryan, do you want to introduce yourself? Please say why you're interested in the finance board.
Hey, everybody. I'm Ryan. So I did serve on the Student Activities Finance Board at the previous community college that I transferred from. I had a really good experience, and I think the finances of the student body is an important part of the governing institution of the university, and I would enjoy being a part of it here to see how it develops over a period of time and help it grow.
Right. So, do you have any questions for Ryan?
How have you gone today? That's fine.
I think it's I actually do have a question about the MOU. Is it posted somewhere that like you have access to read?
I did the SGA draft.
It'd be like in our SGA like files, but it would be publicly.
I actually do have a sorry, later. We'll focus on Ryan right now. Right. Ryan, I think he's qualified. Yeah. I do apologize for the lateness of this. Many things happen. And, so one of the things actually that we do need to focus on is that Ryan will need to be brought up to speed if he is to vote in 2 weeks, remember. So we do have to, I'll schedule a meeting with you hopefully this week so we can talk about the finance board reforms. Ryan has actually given the finance board reforms a read through, which I really do applaud of him. It's a giant document, and I wouldn't have done it to be honest. So, other than that, of course, it's just like we do need to bring you up to speed on what the finance board's goal for the remaining couple months are, and exactly how we operate in a normal setting as well, because this is kind of not normal operating standard for the finance board. Generally, have a little bit more money. Yeah. Yeah. But seeing that, it's just like I do just other additional questions for Ryan. I mean, remember, he will be joining you as one of your peers, and this is your opportunity to make sure he's qualified.
Question.
So you say you mentioned that you transferred from another college? So since coming to like UMBC, have you like gotten involved in any other student organizations? How much do you kind of like know already about finance board? What is your familiarity with just SGA, UMBC in general? Can you speak a little more on that?
Sure. Okay, so I don't have any direct involvement with any student organizations per se. At the previous institution, I did serve as a president of the ISSA club, which is also here as a St. Parent chapter, and was a senator of that community college. and I was in an honor society there. That's, I guess, is here as well. But
It's not that I just recognize.
Okay, so I don't have any experience with UMBC's organizations, although I have been asked to join, say, like mock trial and ISSA as well, but not here. Can you ask your other questions?
And when did you transfer?
I transferred in the summer, so my first semester was last semester.
And then the last one was like, your involvement in SGA.
Oh, right.
Familiarity, right.
Yeah, so I read through the documents. I came here before I actually transferred, and I sat in through the budget meeting, so I did see the budget that was proposed for this year. And I met a lot of people that were in SGA.
I was in the office when Josh Massey was around. We were going through the budget process as well.
I sat through actually a couple Senate meetings.
Additional questions, Scott?
How was the finance board that you previously served on organized?
How was it organized? It was actually more. It was like student government president, the advisor, and then the advisor's advisor, and then another student organization like figurehead. So there was only 2 students.
It's different here.
On the finance board?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
the college was only about 2,000 students, so it was about 6 times as large.
Where did you transfer from?
Carroll Community College.
Carroll Community College.
Carly.
What is your availability on Tuesday nights?
Tuesday nights I'm free. I schedule my classes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because I drive, transfer, or commute. So try to space out the days to where I only have to commute on certain days. So my Tuesdays are free.
Scott.
You commute from Carroll County?
Yes.
You only make that drive every Tuesday night for finance board?
Yeah.
How long's your drive?
An hour or so each way?
What do you think I do everyone?
Well, you just
You have classes or something on Tuesday?
Tuesday? Yeah, I come here from work.
No? Y'all are good.
Y'all dedicated.
Right.
For the record, he is qualified for this and eligible for this, or he is eligible for this.
I was about to say, like, is eligible?
He is eligible. Put that in the minutes. He is eligible for this position.
Oh, no, really.
Watch your child.
Ray, what are you doing?
She was waving at people.
She was like a child.
Right.
Oh, there was.
Additional questions, or are we comfortable moving forward?
I just have a question.
Okay.
I know you say a little bit, but like, what do you hope to like keep in like finance for like SGA in general?
I want to be able to understand how money moves essentially through a student, not even just a student organization, I guess through a larger organization.
Got it.
What year are you?
That's a good question. So,
I love this line.
all right, well, I'm a transfer student, so some of the courses that I'm taking are lower because they're gateway courses. I'm computer science, a computer science major, so I'm taking 202 right now, so it's a lower level course. But at the end of this semester, I will have 100 credits, which will technically make me a senior. So basically, whatever you want to call me.
Let's do it.
Fantastic. If there are no additional questions, I'd like to move.
I don't know, I'm thinking if I have a question.
You take your time, everyone. Basketball games have 10 minutes to go.
Stop.
That's okay, we'll take like an hour out.
No, I'm joking. We're on 8 points, everyone.
What's your social media?
Oh, we actually.
Wait, we're up 10 points.
Stop.
We're up 8 points.
Nice.
We show school spirit.
Yeah, we show
You
We love sports ball. Right. Carly, take your time though.
So how do you plan on managing the additional task of like several hour meetings each week in addition to your current school schedule?
I utilize the Google Calendar very well, I think personally. So it's to me.
He responds to Google Calendar invites everyone.
Yeah. Homework is not an issue to me. I finish it pretty quickly. It's trying to struggle with time really. I feel comfortable with being able to make meetings and any other requirements for the SGA Finance Board.
All right. Got a hand raised? No, it's not. It's the
Any questions on that side?
Yes. I'll put them up so you know I'm relatively confident. Scott.
Can all have any questions?
I honestly don't.
But why?
I can't think of.
You went through this process.
I know,
have a
I did.
question. You went through this process twice.
I did twice. Twice.
He doesn't
Twice.
have one, he doesn't have one.
What? You did?
Twice. It was fun.
Is it FYI?
No,
It's
no,
not
FYI.
Yeah, I forgot.
I got rejected. By
Yeah.
Oh, that's the key.
Okay, Scott, you
It
had a
wasn't
question?
rejected, it was postponed.
Carly?
Either or.
I don't have a question.
I just don't have a question.
That's fine.
We don't have questions. Okay, Scott.
We need more questions.
Are we questioning for the sake of?
Yeah. I think
How do you think you'll best allocate the student activity fee if we get more money back?
That's
We get
That's
more
kind
money
of-
back.
Yeah.
That's a stretch.
Remember?
This year?
Yes.
Student organizations are the most important. So it would be to the best interest of the student body.
I mean, it's just like, how is it
Too
gonna
big.
Yeah, this is kind of a question.
Move to approve. 99, 18, 19.
Yeah, we need discussion.
We need
first.
discussion.
We need discussion. Withdraw your motion.
You have to withdraw your motion.
Okay.
I can withdraw my motion.
Okay.
you can or you
I
want.
could, but we'll give them the face-saving measures. Fantastic. Discussion points, everyone.
I also decided on Ryan's interview. He seems prepared to take on the position. Doesn't seem to have any conflicts concerning class. He has prepared himself in reading the budgetary documents that were out and about that he was able to access, and has expressed interest in UMBC SGA for quite some time now. And his persistent is still here.
I second that. Fantastic. All right. Are we good with that discussion point?
I'd like to second everything everyone said. I think it's really admirable that he came even last semester before he even transferred to this university and was like sitting in on the SGA Senate meetings and sitting in the SGA office and talking to people and hanging out. I think that's really awesome. I think Ryan was doing a great job catching up with the rest of us for the rest of this year. And I have no doubt that it will be great.
All right, Scott, this is your turn now.
Move to approve SPL 99, 18, 19.
All those who are approving Ryan Benner as the new finance board representative, please raise your hands now. 6-4, 0 against, 0 abstaining. Thank you very much. Welcome. You're taking the notes now, my guy. All right, come over here. Do you want the window view or do you want here? One picture?
We do pictures here.
We do pictures.
Where do
Yeah.
they
Was
go?
my picture too?
I don't know, we just take them. I just have them
Just
in
to
my
save
phone.
them.
I can send them also.
Upload them
Oh,
to
you
the
can
drive.
send them.
It's right on the minutes, or the agenda, but
That's probably where they should.
Oh, Baron, not
Baron.
Baron.
I'm sorry.
Do we have to redo that?
No. You just spelled the name wrong.
I just don't know.
Mm.
I don't
I
know.
passed an incorrect legislation then.
It's also wrong right
We
there.
have to amend the legislation.
It's also wrong right there.
It's fine.
It's also wrong right there.
Right.
Fine in the
Every single
regular-
time. I think, are you the Hulk? You know, who's bad?
Baron, and then, right, we're,
Just do a fine in the regular-
good job, so tough.
Why is it wrong?
I apologize.
And then
This
ban
was
and
made
then.
relatively quickly.
There you go.
Fantastic.
And that was good. No.
So, all right,
Yeah.
everyone, let's begin. Raise your right hand. Okay.
This is
Repeat after
the-
me. You want to go over there?
I mean, do you want to carry the tea, actually?
No.
All right. I,
Ryan Barron,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of Finance Board Representative
the office of Finance Board Representative
of the UMBC
of the UMBC
Student Government Association,
Student Government Organization
Association,
Association,
and will,
and will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
promote and defend
promote and defend
the interests and well-being
the interests and well-being
of UMBC's undergraduate students.
of UMBC's undergraduate students.
Congratulations. No, you need to go talk to Candace right now because we got to get you on payroll. You can't work until you're on payroll. Okay, everyone, announcements. Any announcements? Announcements, everyone.
I have announcements.
Carly, to you.
So Zane and I and Candace met with members of SAPSC. Dan Donner actually showed up as well, and there were 2 representatives from theater orders present. We were talking about the equipment policy, where that, and Dusty, yes, Dusty and Simon at we were talking about the equipment policy, where that came from, where, like, what is the purpose of it, why do we have it, what is it meant to prevent from being, so it's like a culmination of a bunch of policies through the state and through UBC. I'm not sure what exact policies, but Dusty said she could, like, look into that and give me the answer.
Okay.
But basically it was like a culmination of policies that was like rewritten through with a combination of SABC and SGA to specify what's considered equipment, and the idea of like equipment and items that needed inventory was more geared towards like computers, other electronic devices,
basically like equipment that like the stuff like Candace's laptop has a property tag on it, like that kind of stuff. Not like table calls, things like that.
I don't know about that. But the point is like.
Is that our guidance? Is there guidance that we can ignore this then?
No, so what we're
Come on.
well basically what like the meeting was just a working group to rewrite the policy and then clearly lay out the intent, have definitions of things, and structure it in a way that like we're not turning a blind eye to it, because like the state and the SABSC also do not consider like certain things to be equipment, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll have an answer by the end of the year that we can put into the budgetary statutes.
So I was getting the impression that like we would be working on this, and we definitely have an answer by the end of the year, I think, of like rewriting the policy. I think the other thing to come out of the meeting was like costumes and props were not intended to be seen as like equipment or things like, because we also asked about what does it mean by items that can't be expended after one use, and that was like more of a subheading of, or like a subset of the part saying like equipment of like electronical, technological things that needed to be inventory.
So we were giving it more context than, or like gravitating it like.
Does this change next year's like approach to not funding?
So no, we remove the language and it simply says follows the equipment committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Policy.
Yep.
Guidelines.
Got it.
Yes.
Or it just
Policy,
says follows the
yeah.
Yeah,
equipment
follow
committee.
what the equipment committee says.
Yeah.
And is that going to be like in clear language somewhere? What
It's explicitly said.
Yeah, and I think we should also explicitly state like, what the equipment committee is and who's on it and structure it. Yeah.
The equipment committee has a separate accounting document. It's not their purview.
Oh, I know, but it's like hardly mentioned in the other factors that I'm saying. So
Yeah,
that
so
would
it needs to
more
be said and like.
I mean, maybe you
Explain
could
what it
just, maybe you could link to the equipment committee
Yeah, that's totally fine.
in the doc, maybe you could send, you can like, you can say, if people have questions about,
or you can, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it lives on the campus website.
And
Right.
kind of the other thing that came out of the conversation is that like, if there was an audit or like the state is auditing SABSC, like they do have to answer for like strange purposes with like letters and things, but like the stuff we would be buying, like they're not going to be like, well, where's this cost from? It's basically like what was said. So
I mean,
Yeah.
to me, if SAPSC says we don't need to follow these, that's perfectly fine by me. I just don't want to assume like, oh, we don't need to follow this, right?
well, the
They got
ironic,
it back. So.
the ironic thing was it was created by SGA to basically be like not the bad guys. So like, oh, you can't buy this because SABSC and the state say so.
Okay.
Well, yeah, so it's pretty in conjunction so that like the SGA has a policy to point to of like why they can't fund
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But there is like other like state and university things of like, should you really be buying that laptop? And then
Yeah.
your organization just has it like, no.
Yeah,
So-
that's more what it's meant to prevent. It's not like
Not as encompassing as that, I interpreted it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.
I think it was great.
Yes.
Thanks.
So. I mean, trying to speak more, but we'll just like set up groups. It'll be like myself, Carly, any like student reps that want to come. And I mean, anybody's welcome to come to talk about it. Not Candace. Are you coming?
Yeah.
Yeah, Candace can come. And Simon and Dusty. So
Can we give them a vote?
you should expand the board right now.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but
It's not legal. It can't work.
What?
She can't work.
It can't work.
Volunteer.
Very well. Okay.
Yeah.
Additional announcements.
Yes, 1 second.
Okay. Scott's got additional announcements in 1 second.
So this meeting is pretty good.
Hey, listen, that's funny.
Yeah.
We hit ship.
6 hours?
Simple as that.
No, Chipotle.
Oh.
We had Charles
Wow,
Fun. Candace,
fantastic.
thank you.
Breaking apart.
Yeah, thanks, Candace.
Everyone gets a little bit
Everyone
harder. Okay, Scott.
So I also talked with Julia about theater orgs, and I know this has been tried before and has not succeeded, but I think that we could help collaborate theater orgs with the theater department and hopefully facilitate like costume sharing or stuff like that. I think that would be a better solution than just buying costumes and not knowing where they go afterwards functionally.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know that Sam mentioned that they do have a thorough inventory, but one of the orgs, is it MT?
MC does.
Yeah, thorough or I think that is a conversation, especially to like have with the theater department about like what is like possible given like space and I'm not. Well, I mean, again, have a conversation. I don't know about costume sharing. I don't know like what the compromise on that, but yeah, I think that's definitely worth the conversation. We can set up a meeting with. I don't know the.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. That should be definitely something you follow up with, talking with them, because talking with the theater orgs, like multiple of them, they're like, yo, we do not have a good relationship with the theater department. And I was like, oh,
That's so interesting.
and it's there's some policy that
Theater
like,
department does not.
yeah, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
a policy necessarily, or if it's just more like
I think it's like a
verbal
culture.
rule. There's like a culture behind it, but like if you are a theater major, like an acting major or whatever, like you're not supposed to, or you're not allowed to be involved with the.
Clarification, right?
Yeah.
I followed up with Julia on that too to try and fix that relationship as well, and she said that was an individual case, and as long as we talk to
You have
the
to ask.
theater department, that it is usually okay.
Oh, okay.
So I think it was overstated in the meeting.
Okay. Yeah.
But
So, yeah. It was.
I would talk to them
we
about that
can't
too.
Be a part of like that. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a mending of a relationship that needs to happen there, for sure.
And along those lines, I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about the email sent on Friday when the assessor passes out.
I think that's an individual conversation.
Okay.
Okay. Any additional announcements?
If
Candace.
you're all interested in going to a leader shop tomorrow at 4:30, where there will be free pizza. Tomorrow's is at 4:30. It's about how to expand your network at UMBC and how to find places to be involved and find your space and your place here. So,
And it's presented by the lovely Alexis.
oh, that's
She's great.
smart. Yes, at 4:30, 328 up on the floor. Free pizza. Good place. Okay,
Yep.
Dwayne? How's this going?
I recognize that Zayn is present, I am present, Kunal is present, Sian is present, Jessica's present, Carly's present, and Tanya is present, as well as Candace. Oh, and Ryan is present.
Ryan is present.
Ryan is present indeed.
Now we have a full board.
Welcome to the board. Full board.
Full board.
Fantastic.
Power over.
As well as our ex officio member, Raven.
And our lovely
FYAs.
Oh, and our lovely FIAs.
Okay,
Turn the thing off.